Good morning and welcome everyone, and welcome to the new session Beam Live demo on Zero Trust, where we're very pleased that you are here today. In this demo, over the next 30 minutes, we will show you how easily you can implement zero and configure Zero Trust with Beam. And my name is Remo Bianchi, and I'm the PO of the Center of Excellence team, more a little bit later on that, and with me, my colleague Nicolas Schlumberger.
Yeah, my name is Nicolas. I'm technical head of the network and cloud security cluster. And sorry for my voice, it's cold season and still fighting with a cold. Sorry, back to you, Remo.
Thank you, Nico. During this webinar, you can ask your question directly in the chat, and you also have the option to like the questions that from other participants, that you can give a boost on that question, and we will answer that in the end of the webinar. And last but not least, if you experience any technical problems at any time, please report them as well in the chat. Thank you very much.
Currently fighting with a technical issue that the slides are not present.
Just a moment. So I hope everyone has a nice coffee with you, and yes, it looks like
that looks slightly
good.
better. Sorry, technical issue on our side. There again, what Remo just mentioned. Any technical issues be sent to Anina Engelberger at Swisscom.com, and obviously, ask questions.
Exactly.
So, then let's have another quick look. What is Beam? What are we trying to do with Beam in general? Most of the content here has already been presented in our last webinar about 2-3 months back. So if you really want a more deep dive session, please have another look at the webinar there. Here we're just having a quick overview again. What is Beam and what are we doing with it? First and foremost, Beam is a SaaS solution baked into the Swisscom network. So first idea is let's give you secure access to the internet. So you're at home in the office, even if you're on the way, you get access to the internet through the Beam platform. With that, we get an additional security layer that protects you from malicious sites, from malware, etc. So the entire security solution toward the internet. Second topic, as we made a topic of our webinar today, Zero Trust access, or how to access your own business application. Main goal here is to reduce the access. The main goal here is to allow access to the application, and at the same time also what you also provide, and on top from a Swisscom point of view, for example, passkeys for strong authentication. Last but not least, we also have the possibility to allow device-based policy, so it's not just a user to application topic that we have, but also the possibility to allow access from an individual device to Beam and afterwards to an application or the internet. So Remo.
Yes.
Let's have a quick look at Zero Trust.
Yeah, how does ZTNA work with Beam? So it's easy from company side perspective or point of view, and as well mobile working and some SaaS, applications in the cloud and SaaS applications as well. So that means it doesn't matter whether from the office or on the go, runs currently via BeamNet, upstream phishing resistant authentication in BeamNet, so that means the passkey authentication, all local on-premise application as well as all cloud and SaaS applications are connected to the BeamNet, as you can see on that slide here. And with that, we can access the policy or define centrally in the Beam and continuously check the BeamNet for each access. And sorry for that. And as well, context-based fine-grained access policy. That means is a user on just with a 5G connection connected to the BeamNet or with the app, we can really granularly set the policy and do some magic if this action is allowed or not. And was have we ordered here? Uniform access policy for on-prem, cloud, and SaaS application. Temporary access to selected applications. So that means a third party will connect to your heating system over the normal internet, and you can say, hey, no, this guy has to also secure via BeamNet.
And also give them only access for that particular time frame where it actually needs, and afterwards this is gone.
Exactly.
And then you can re-allow the particular access again. That means temporary.
Yeah, exactly. And in general, as Nico already mentioned, the deep integration in the Swisscom core network offers many advantages for Zero Trust compared to other solutions, as well as we will now see in the live demo.
All right, what are we going to show you? I think we need the slide deck again. Where did we lose the slide deck? Oh, there it is, wonderful. Yeah. So that's a rough overview of how the entire environment looks like. In this particular case, we were working with the pre-prod environment, not the production, just to have a bit more flexibility, because we're also showing a bit more advanced topics that we don't want to fully do directly on product or on production environment, or not to affect any other customers. It's relatively simple. Here on the left side, you have the company with their individual users. They go through BeamNet, where they have their individual policies and have access to the individual private application. Actually, the setup that we're using, actually we're going to reuse it for a recent bug bounty program. That's why you also will see the topic bug bounty in some usernames to pop up again. But in essence, it's a relatively simple setup. Users from somewhere near or close to the BeamNet, be it if the agent, let's say, is already inside the BeamNet, otherwise you use the application to access the BeamNet, and based on that, we have then a Zero Trust policy to access primarily private application, but we'll also show what we can do if we try to access a public application. So I think I head over to you, Remo, and our beloved Concerto to see how does this look in practice.
We need a little bit manpower behind the scenes because one device has a small defect. So now I can see here that I can move over my... Yes, exactly. And now I see nothing.
Can I just duplicate it?
That's another thing. Okay, so I try to, with my eagle eyes, to check that.
Here?
Give me 1 sec. That's a little bit...
Reminds me of our last webinar where I was looking at that screen out front, so it looks a bit far away.
Yes.
We're young, but not that young anymore. Or the screen is a bit too small. So let's give Remo a few minutes to get Concerto up and running. Like we said last time, Concerto is the main tool to do configuration, mainly the advanced configuration.
Oh, now it works.
More sophisticated ones.
Cool.
So we're back.
We are here for fixing. So, okay. I need to check that one again. So you see a lot of stuff that we are already prepared for. The bug bounty setup, as Nico mentioned before, and we click right into that private application rule. And we go here. So, as mentioned before, we can set for different local servers, applications, etc., or even application groups. So that means a different application connected or put in one group, and we can define a policy on that. So you can see you have already here some nice features or applications that you can use, but we have that in a little bit later on the whole policy chain here. So we can define here user and groups. That means all users with the Beam app are in that particular section. We can select that our IDP. I hope that loads a little bit more. So you can see here one global group for that particular tenant that we are created as well in here. As an example, we have app allow or app deny group, and within that group are mine user and Nico's and deny for demonstrating perspective. And then we have to jump back in here. So, what's that? Okay, strange. And the cool thing is when we hit back here and we have these nice user device groups, that means all mobile 5G
5G enabled devices. Well,
Exactly.
typical mobile phones, but could be a notebook. Anything that's on the mobile network that's important.
with an
topic.
eSIM or IoT devices, etc., etc. That we can select it here. So then we go next. We can select some endpoint information profiles. That, as an example, with an Android, an older software version installed on that device is not allowed, and with the newer one, yes. You see the the flower. Can I say?
Flow or what?
No. It's a really endless story to define exactly what policy do you want to configure.
Too many different options, too many flavors,
thank
and in
you
the end,
for
yeah, it's just you need to think first what you want to protect, how you want to protect it, and then use the appropriate topics, because afterwards you're going to probably show times as well, and the geolocation, etc. So there are plenty of topics. Just to think first what you want to configure, and then use the correct ones.
Exactly.
Sorry, jumping a bit ahead.
All good. So, and then you see here the source geolocation and the destination geolocation. So you can really say, okay, all in the in Switzerland, Austria, and Germany, the users are allowed to connect on your defined application, or not, or whatever you want to say, that is good for my business or not. Then on the network layer section, you can define some services that you want to block or not block. You can also say the destination zone. So C means all our 5G devices are connected, and Verso client here is with the Beam app.
Yeah, I think that's a small thing which they're going to fix on production. That it's a bit more intuitive. That it's the Beam app and
Exactly.
the SIM or the mobile network, however you want to call it. But that's
Exactly. So the zones are called like that, but on production we will see then another name. And as well, you can set some schedule, so that means 8 to 5 are allowed to connect the application or not. And then as well, the interesting thing, you can set plenty of options for the security enforcement. Obviously, allow, deny, reject, or you can give a little bit more spice on different security profiles that you can also configure individually for you and your needs to set whatever you want. And with that one, we are through the first rule. You click on save and then hit the, I will do that. And then you see, okay, we have here the publish button with an 4 in that. That means we have some configuration done and we have to publish that. And with that, I hand over to you, Nico.
Thanks, Remo. So Remo just showed us what we can do on the private application part. Let's have another look on what we can do on the public application part, how we can combine this with Zero Trust again. Important topic there, sometimes try to deviate off. Talk about Zero Trust, we don't talk about CASB. It's really just about, can a user access a particular application? We don't care about what he can do within that application. It's really focus is the user allowed to allowed to access that particular application? Also, biggest difference between the private application, a public, a SaaS application is generally available on the internet. So yes, we can restrict access through Beam to that particular application, but you also, in that case, if you're in the BeamNet, yes, you get that restriction or not. But if the moment you leave the BeamNet, so if you're the home access or a third-party network, you still get access to that particular application. So keep in mind, we're going only to show you what you need to configure on the Beam side. At the same time, you also need to do a similar configuration on your SaaS application. Tell, hey, this particular application is only accessible from, let's say, the BeamNet, and for everywhere else, it's not accessible.
Exactly.
So let's head back to Concerto. Let's have another quick look at how this works. Again, we're back in the same tenant. Main difference here, we're talking about the so-called internet protection rule, not a private protection rules. And as you already can see, you have either application groups or rather even individual applications that are predefined by the vendor that you can directly use. If ever needed, there's always the possibility to have a custom configured own application if there's some particular need. Now, in our case, I want to have a quick look at Salesforce. Salesforce being a CRM tool, CRM in that case also available directly in the internet. So it's something you don't want everybody to have access to. So it makes sense to restrict the access. Even within the company, it could make sense to look, only the salespeople have access. Maybe the normal engineers need less access. You can even do it there. And like I said, it's only what restrictions we have within the BeamNet. There's no discussion of what are the restrictions on Salesforce itself. So do you have a user? What access does this user have? Or even, like I said, is the source access to Salesforce actually restricted to, quote unquote, the BeamNet IP addresses? Then, well, first you select the application, then next, Remo basically already said it. On one hand, we can define here again the users. Do we want to allow access? Don't we want to allow access? Again, it's the same ones. You have the user groups or the individual users. Most cases, you want to use the user groups because otherwise it gets too complicated to handle. It also makes it easy. In that case, if you have a new user has access, you just need to add him in IAM and directly gets applied to the policy instead of just needing to readjust the corresponding.
It's all about the AX, what mean AX, admin user experience.
Yeah, correct. Risk bounds, like Graham mentioned before, they can also define risks or actually see if this is a risky access. Again, take Salesforce as an example. So we may want to have endpoint posture, so we want it's company laptop, it needs to be up to date, it needs to have an up-to-date virus. So if the device itself is not in a healthy state, we can already say, hey, we block access to it. So you need to come through BeamNet, you need to have a valid user, you need to have an up-to-date machine, otherwise you just don't get access to this particular application, again, to enforce the security that we want, also to make sure that your data is not getting leaked. Same we can also do, like I said before, for device groups. So if you want to give access through a mobile app, yes, now Salesforce may not be the best example for a mobile app, but maybe there's other ones where it makes sense. But again, technically possible. Keep in mind, if you have the device access, there's some limitations on what we can do on the posture management. Sorry, just before was the user risk. Here again, we have the endpoint management. Again, what is the posture of a particular device? Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it some parts are lacking? Again, geolocation. Let's say again Salesforce. So you can first restrict. You need to be in the BeamNet, and then you can also say, hey, the user that's actually accessing the BeamNet needs to be in a particular location. Again, it takes Salesforce. So it makes more sense if your company is mainly present in Switzerland, with maybe some sales that maybe travel out in the nearest countries, so France, Germany, Italy, and Austria. So maybe can expand a little bit, but usually want to restrict it. You can do this here. Destination restrictions, would say it's rarely used, but it technically could also restrict which destination you can access it to, just make sure not send your data all over the place, or basically enforce in that case that Salesforce 10 is actually within Switzerland, within Europe, and not somewhere else. Back we're in the in the internet policy, you can also then define source destination and or schedule source destination. In this case, if you have the application, it's no real need. The application handles everything. Schedule, like mentioned before, technically possible. Does it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? Well, there may be a few border use cases where it makes sense that you want to have, look, it's only during office hours you want to allow access to a particular application so that either employees don't abuse it, or it's just like it's common sense that you only use it there and don't work over weekends. Security enforcement, same as before, and now deny, reject, plus a couple of profiles. Important topic here. You have a few more profiles that you can choose from. Again, we're talking about zero trust, we're talking about accessing to a particular application, so you may not want to restrict it too much. On the other hand, if you want to deny particular access, you can always use the URL filter, and the URL filter has the rather easy, where's the gen? Oh, block all URLs, and so it's already predefined, but otherwise you can configure it yourself. There's a general block, so if you want to deny access to some application, just say, look, that's an deny one, and then you get actually a nice error message, hey, you're not allowed to access this particular application because you're in the wrong group or whatever. That's possible. Also, That's just the internet access rule. TLS decryption may be an additional topic that you need to take care of. Or again, if it's a trust application, you may not want to do it. So then again, the URL filter may not work properly. So it's a bit of a trade-off, what you can do, what you can't do. But the main goal is how to allow access to said application. And then, last but not least, as always, give it a name, save it, deploy it. We're not going to do it here. It's just more kind of a dry run. And like I said initially, that's just a part of what we configure on Beam, on Concerto. If your application you also need to do some restrictions on the application end in order to get it working, actually to have the proper restriction. Because otherwise, you leave BeamNet and you have still full access to the application, which then defeats the purpose. All right, Remo.
Really nice. That was a nice speak from you, Nico. Thanks for that. So
let's head back to your application. Can we test it?
I just checked the RAM before, so I have an issue with my passkey for that.
Yeah.
So it's on the pre-prod system. Sorry for that again. And I think we jump right to the next topic. You really spoke about. So now my voice are going as well. So hopla. So you're really nice speaking about before the zero trust things and what you can configure as well on my side with the private application. But what needs a customer or what needs a customer exactly for license to do that?
Yeah, let's have another quick look on how to access BeamNet access, how to do zero trust. The two topics we already mentioned. On the left-hand side, we have the beem app, just your traditional SaaS application. It allows you to access the BeamNet from wherever you are, especially also from third-party networks, be it Internet Coffee, be it whatever. And at least in the present, that's the possibility to also do the entire decryption of data. The other one we already mentioned, that's the mobile. All part. So whenever you have a mobile subscription, or even if you have just let's say a DSL or fiber connection, you can already access the BeamNet. In that case, the possibility what you can do, or the granularity is a bit limited, because actually we lack the user information, especially if it's just shush. Note to myself, and you need to say seriously. If you just have the connection, you just get the information which particular connection it is, how to access it. Again, from a fiber connection, although it's one access, you could have 100,000 employees behind it, so it makes it a bit hard to really have a granular policy. On the other hand, that's why we usually prefer the mobile phone, or even, let's say, take a laptop, a notebook with a SIM card in there, because there it's one user to one ID, so there you have some more or less coupled identity to who is actually accessing the particular application. So, left-hand beem app, full-blown client, again with the TLS decryption. Right-hand side, just, let's say, application or connection to BeamNet. And big advantage, we can do it with just a simple internet connection, don't need any additional hardware on premise. And then there's a third option, the so-called business application portal. This application portal is mainly thought for, let's say, third-party providers, people that need to access to your network, but just very, very limited.
And also for team members?
You could also use it internally, but I would say that the primary goal is you don't want to install anything. It's purely web browser based. So typically the application behind the business application portal is the web application. Yes, technically, if you add some more features, so for example, the guacamole store, we can also do web to RDP, web to SSH. Could even allow a bit more, but typically it does a web application, and it allows you to expose web applications to the partner and give them access to said application. And the biggest advantage, you don't need a SIM card. That's what you need on the right-hand side from BeamNet. Yep. You don't need to install an application on the left-hand side that it works. On the other hand, you still need a license. Business application portal is only available from Edition Plus and above. So you need to, we already a bit invested into BeamNet that it properly works. But it allows you to have relatively streamlined access to said application. Also, as you see down here below, what are otherwise the requirements? You always need a license. That's unfortunately like it. Big advantage again, Business Application Portal allows not just to use the Protect and Connect or the Protect license, but also the so-called collaboration license. And yeah, the collaboration license is just linked to the Plus edition and the Vaso Plus and the Premium one, which then allows you also to fully configure how or which access is wanted and or needed. So let's have another quick look. So what's Beam? What are real benefits? Core topic here is zero trust. First and foremost, yes, we have zero trust, so let's say zero-ish trust to internal application from a device. Yes, we know who the device is, but by that you usually know which user is behind. Again, we talk about mobile devices, so notebooks and mobile phones. So therefore, you can just say, okay, user A or SIM card A belongs to user A, and therefore you should have access. Shouldn't have access to it. Or then, of course, you install the Beam app. Then you have the full granularity and even posture checks, and it allows you to have a really good view of how healthy a particular device is. So then even allow or deny access based on that particular health. Then, well, we call it more reliable checking of access. The main topic here is we allow access from within the Swisscom network. From the Swisscom, there's a native integration. It's not just a typical SaaS solution where you need the application and you can access it from everywhere. We allow it to have it from within the Swisscom network, and therefore we can already make sure, hey, the device or the overall network is already quote unquote secure. Yes, it breaks a bit the zero trust approach, but it allows us to give you access in a rather reliable way.
And the more than zero trust, that is really interesting, the third point.
Yeah. It's one of our marketing topics here. It's not just SaaS, not just a zero trust solution, but we build an entire ecosystem around the solution, around BeamNet. We already mentioned authentication happens via passkeys. So we're trying to get rid of passwords. Passwords are a weak point. We showed it in the last webinar. With passkeys, you have a device-based login, so basically it's cryptographically secure. It's directly on a device. You have the possibilities to share it, but it's a much more secure possibility to access it. They mentioned already IAM, so the identity and access management, how to do the entire user management, so we can provide everything. Yes, there's still possibility to add third-party environments, and yeah, like I said, it's baked into the Swisscom network that makes the biggest
exactly. And
bonus.
The last and
the decentralized one, which actually is a bit counterintuitive because we constantly talk about centralized. That's a bit of a look in the future. At present, yes, we just have the BeamNet, you just have the central gateways that allow the enforcement. The policy is centrally managed. There will also be in the future, but in midterm. I don't want to go too far, but that's the next probably 2 years. You also have the possibility to have that enforcement on site. So then again, it's the question, do you still need an additional device, yes or no? Yes, you can still use just the central enforcement, but maybe some disadvantage. But if you're most likely a bigger customer, it could make sense, hey, I want an on-premise device that does the entire enforcement instead of having to shove the entire traffic through the central gateway. So decentralized policy enforcement, but still centralized policy management. So there's one policy for everything. Still keeps it simple.
Nico, thank you very much for this nice summarization for all that information. It's really cool, and I think that brings us to the end of this presentation, and we still have time for some nice questions about from you to answer that.
Sounds good. Let's have a quick look at the questions.
Hello. So okay. Hello. How to remove the 2FA via SMS from the Beam Office Protect? Our employees do not enter the password, and we are not protected. Thank you. Okay, that is about. I think that you speak about with the SMS and login. That's the central tenant. When you want to use the passkey option, then you have to upgrade your tenant to advanced flavors. We have two for the moment: the basic and the plus tenant, and then we can enable the passkey for that. But of course, the user has to enter or connect or activate the beam app with smiling in the camera that are connected then the passkey, and you are beam also with the app enabled and protected. Is that so okay for you?
Oh, we don't need to get direct feedback, but that sounds fairly
maybe
straightforward.
we can get a little bit of thumb up there.
That could help. Like on the other hand, the core challenge there is the user needs to do at least an initial login.
Exactly.
We can't unfortunately fully automate this. The rest and afterwards can be handled via auto login, auto relogin. To get
okay, and depends as well, because if you have a security level 2 with DPI as a deep packet inspection enabled, then you go for the beam app, and then you are correctly more protected, and without also just protected with the over the 5G network, then you have not the full DPI in there.
I think sounds good.
Yep.
Next question. Sorry, if we can need to mute.
Can Swisscom help? Okay. Next question is: can Swisscom help me with the implementation? Yes. So really, in the first 2 or 3 sentences, I when introduction myself. So I'm P of the Center of Excellence team. Operations. We have another team, integrations together with our colleagues, and we do that for you if you want or if you wish that. Exactly.
Perfect. So that's implementation. What's the data being processed? Well, a lovely question. I always get almost every time. Yes, on the one hand, you've seen, yes, it's a Swisscom solution, but we actually getting support from a vendor, so it's not fully Swisscom built. On the other hand, the entire solution is installed inside Swisscom, inside Switzerland, inside Swisscom data centers. Also, the vendor, yes, we have some support agreements that he gets particular support, but again, those people are within Switzerland. So the entire data processing happens within Switzerland. Also, the entire support access is from within Switzerland. Also, the support teams, including me, myself, and Remo, are located in Switzerland. So, yeah, it's a fully Swiss-based solution. Yes, with some external product being used, but apart from that, it's within Switzerland.
How long does it take to set up the Zero Trust with Beam? That's a good question, and I want to answer that with depends. Depends means more how many applications do you have, how many other things you wanted to get into with Zero Trust, and so
I think in the end it depends on the amount of application.
Exactly.
Again, Swisscom can help you with the implementation, but you need to do first discover. You need to know which application you have. You have a possibility to help you with the discovery of the applications.
Exactly.
And afterwards, you need to also tell us, look, which user should have access to which application. Because without that mapping, we're basically back to square one. So everybody gets access to everything. Then what's the real benefit of Zero Trust? Mm-hmm.
So we did some customer onboardings, and we have some different customers with a little bit more or less applications, and we are around about for smaller companies within 10 to 12 hours, something like that.
And the rest is just depends on application. If it's an application, it's fast. If it's 100 applications, it might take a little bit longer. But you get the gist relatively fast of what you need to do, and then I can also help you to start with a few applications, have a quick look, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what works, what doesn't work. Like I said, timing, it sounds like a great idea at the beginning, and then it just get blocked off at the wrong moment. They may not want it, so a lot of things just testing. Next question. So Beam will replace Versa networks. I think you need to go a bit into detail here. Versa Networks is actually our provider for the SaaS platform. SaaS platform in this particular case, and Beamnet is just the Swisscom enhancement around this particular vendor. The current plans, Versa will still provide the core components of anything that's from the gateways to the logic to the SaaS platform, and Beam is just the Swisscom branded version of it. I think that's summarized. So it's not really Beam doesn't replace it, but it's just Beam is the Swisscom interpretation of what Versa does, plus whatever we do around it, IAM, pass keys, Swisscom net integration, etc.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's a lot more.
Yep. What was that? You guys are well-skilled expert, thank you. But as CEOs here, we need actionable tasks. So what to do? What do you advise? Oh, where's the question? So there.
Did I just moved over to the right?
Advise as steps to go ahead. Beam Office Plus to discover the functioning 12-month commit.
Yeah, I think the question here is, as a CEO, is asking, okay, he doesn't want to get fully committed, so what's the easiest way to start and also get the most out of it? It depends where you stand. If you already have a security solution, BeamNet would be a replacement. If you don't have a security solution, start with a simple firewall, can also be already a web filter, whatever you have already there, and it would be a replacement. If you don't have anything, it's already a start to have some sort of protection. And the next question is, do you have private application, or do you want to have, like Zero Trust, as you mentioned today, do you want to provide Zero Trust access to some application, be it internally, be it to the internet? And if you want that, then you need at least it's called the basic edition, in future we'll have a slightly different name. You need at least that one for the private application. If you also want to do it for public application, you need, again, a minimum, the Plus edition, to allow you to create that particular policy. Again, the advantage is the essential will be just internet protection, no private app protection. The basic and is essential, plus the private app access.
Exactly.
And the Plus then allows you to configure whatever you want forward, also with some additional features there. So from a probably a more enterprise point of view here, I would say definitely the Plus. If you're a bit more on the defensive side, say, look, you just have a few internal application, the basic edition could already be sufficient.
Yeah.
And if you get 12 months, should give you enough time to have a clear view. Does it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? Also keep in mind, well, there will be our time for you to help you to do the implementation. It will be also in your side to do some testing. So I think the discussion should there go along the line, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do in the proof of concept, proof of value? And then we can basically focus on those particular topics that actually make sense.
And for that particular case, I will really prefer to contact your IT partner with Beam enabled. So we have some Swisscom Beam partners in the Prairie, and as well you can contact your key account or salesman, and then we get in touch together and see what we can do for you. And I think that was the last questions, and I think we are done. And for that, really thank you for your participation and interesting questions. That is also nice, challenging for us to answer that. And the recording of the live stream will be sent by email, so as the last time again. And we will summarize the questions and answers in a Q&A and send you it promptly. And we always want to improve, to skill up our ways or our paths or whatever. Please complete the survey in the end, and we will immediately display the QR code on Nico's laptop. And the last words, thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.